1, 2, 3.
You can do it, Cam. Keep it up.
Hi, I'm Cam, holistic health coach, mom to 2 humans and 4 pets.
Hi, I'm Amelia, laboratory scientist by day and food scientist by night.
Welcome to our show.
Join us as we share our holistic approach to life after 50.
You can expect real life stories with a dash of humor and a ton of truth.
If it happens in midlife, we're going to talk about it. So hit that subscribe button and follow along.
We're the Midlife Mamas. Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about how to build upper body strength and why in the world should you do this. I'm so excited to talk about it.
I know you are. And, this came up actually from a friend of mine, and I believe a client or two of yours, Cam, because in midlife, we fight the flabby arm disease. So this will be great, not just for aesthetics, but this has got some real benefits too.
Oh, yeah. So beyond improving your body composition, there's going to be so many health benefits and like confidence issues that you're going to gain from upper body strength. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to throw in that we do, we talk a lot about walking being a wonderful exercise, and we talk in general terms about strength training. But as women, I think traditionally, especially our age group, Cam, we've kind of neglected our upper body. Back in the 80s when we were cardio junkies, it was just flailing our arms just came with the territory. But intentionally doing upper body strength training, I think is really important. And I got to be honest, I love a good shoulder, the way shoulders look in the summer with, strappy dresses and all of that. So I think this is just a great time of year to talk about this.
Absolutely. We want you to be confident and like wear the shirt you want to wear, and like don't wear, this is a true story. When I got married the first time in 1994, I wore a long sleeve dress in July in St. Louis because I didn't like my arms. Yeah. So anyway, this is rooted, deep rooted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think lots of people will completely identify with, I know I have a lot of friends who now will not wear sleeveless. I mean, they did up until they were like in their 40s, and they're like, oh no, I don't want my arms to show. And we're going to help you ladies, and you're going to be wanting to show off those arms.
Absolutely. And I was 24 when I wore that dress. So I've come a long way. And now I don't even want to wear sleeves.
I hear you. And I love that about you. So Cam, when we talk about upper body strength, let's talk a little bit about what body parts are included here.
Well, a ton of body parts. So we've got our chest, right? And then our back, our shoulders, our biceps, and our triceps. Plus, it's part of your core. And I want to explain that your core is way more than your ab muscles by your belly button. It includes everything from your shoulders all the way down to your bottom. So your core is front, back, sides of your trunk, basically. And that includes your shoulders.
Absolutely. And just one clarification. I know that folks probably know this, but just if you don't, if you really have not spent any time with anatomy and physiology, the bicep is kind of on what I consider the front of the arm, and then the tricep is kind of on the back. Is that about right if you had to describe it in words?
Absolutely. And think about Popeye. Didn't he curl the spinach? So he was doing bicep curls. So he was working on that front muscle on your arm. Yeah. And then triceps are like the back of the arm. And that's like a big complaint I hear from women. Like, what do I do with this jiggle down here? And so that's like the underneath or the bottom of your arm. So that's your tricep. Yes.
Yeah. And traditionally, I've had a lot more trouble keeping my tricep strength up. And I think it's because in daily activity, at least for me, my perception is, like when I pick up a bag of groceries, it feels like I might be using my bicep more. But we'll get into all of that, which leads us to the next thing. What in the world, besides looking great in your sundress, what are some really good reasons to strength train your upper body?
Well, let's talk about the health benefits first. Anytime you add muscle to your frame in midlife, hold on, let me go backwards. So at around 30, we started losing muscle mass, and at age 60, it accelerates. And so that time period between age 30 and 60 is our quote unquote midlife. And it's super important that we are intentionally strength training in order to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. And the reason why, health reason, well, first of all, it helps with better blood sugar control. And also it helps keep your bone density. Because if we were to fall, we want to bounce back and recover quickly. And so the stronger you are and the stronger your bones are, the better that's going to happen, better results.
Absolutely. And I'll cover just the life effects, or in the medical world, we call this ADLs, activities of daily living. So the normal things you do every day where upper body strength is going to be helpful, like carrying the groceries or doing the vacuuming, anytime you pick something up or carry it, you're not going to do it with your feet typically. We could talk about lifting. That's a little bit of another story. But yeah, lifting things, vacuuming, and posture cam. I mean, I was told from the time I was like 13 years old, stand up straight, pull your shoulders back. And if you're very weak in certain areas, that's very hard. It's not just as easy as, quote, pull your shoulder blades together. We need strength in these muscles for postural alignment to actually be possible.
Absolutely. And from the side, you want to see your ears, your shoulders, and your hips lined up if you're sitting, and then add in your heels if you're standing. So there should be a straight line when you're looking at someone from the profile side. Ears, shoulders, hips, and heels should be nice and straight. And it's really easy to get hunched over and your shoulders curve forward. Bad posture, you're working in front of you on your computer or your phone all day, just like awareness, being aware. In fact, right now, I feel like I need to sit up straighter.
I know. It's crazy how just talking about it makes you want to change. But if you look at yourself, I don't know about you. You have a better handle on this, but I've actually walked past myself in like a storefront window and thought, oh my gosh, why in the world am I slumped over like that? And it's just that I really wasn't intentional about my posture. And those were definitely before the days when I actually, was paying attention and doing strength training for that upper body.
Yeah. And also, it just moving your body through time, space, and gravity gives you more body awareness.
Yes.
And you have more confidence. And all of those things add to better posture and just how you move through life. It's a good thing. I was putting something away on a top shelf the other day, and I was thinking, okay, it was really called a clean and jerk if you're back in the CrossFit days. But anything, I was pushing something over my head to put it on an upper shelf that I couldn't reach. And I was like, thank you, muscles, for letting me do this without a problem, right? It was a big case of sparkling water. And I was like, yeah, I got this. Stoop up there.
That is amazing. I love stories where we're making improvements.
Yes, it felt really good to be strong. And I just remember feeling gratitude that I was able to do that without a stool or without calling the hubby, hey, can you get this for me? I got this. I got this. Okay, let's talk about movement patterns on the upper body. So in general, I'm thinking about pushing and pulling. So pushing would be like push-ups, any kind of shoulder press or something called an Arnold press. Anytime you're pushing something away from your body, that would go under push, right?
That makes total sense.
Yeah. And then the other one is pull. So anytime you're pulling something towards your body, so like ring rows or pull ups, you're pulling your body up, or any kind of like bands. Have you ever done pull aparts with the bands? So all that would fall under the pull category. And by the way, bands are very effective for this sort of training. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I have some at home for sure. So Cam, when you're advising people, is there a proportion of push versus pull activities that you recommend? Do you do them in equal measure, or is one set more effective than the other? Tell us how you kind of advise that people use these.
Yeah, they both need to be included. So if you're only doing pushes, you need to think, well, where can I put some pulls in? If you're only doing pulls, you need to do some pushes. It kind of goes along with the front side and the back side of your body. If you're working your glutes and your hamstrings, this is lower body. The back, your bottom and the back of your legs. What about the front of your legs? Like we have to balance our body on both sides. And it's easy. Like if you ever seen a guy, or my husband, he works only his upper body. Like he doesn't want to work his lower body. We need to work the whole body, left, right, front, center, all of it.
That's a great point. And, if you're not used to doing any sort of weight training, some of this may be a little bit foreign. I know when I read the list, push-ups and shoulder presses were things I'm very familiar with. The Arnold press, not so much. But if you're not familiar with these things, it may feel like I don't know what that is or how to do it, so I'm not going to do it. So I think one of the take homes here too, if I'm understanding, what we're saying here, is investigate it. This isn't that hard. We're not asking you to go to the gym with all the smelly guys and just jump right in. But there are some things you can do to help and learn.
Yeah, let me tell you about the Arnold press. I can walk you through it. And this is named after Arnold Schwarzenegger. So this is like a shoulder thing. So this would be great for your sundresses, Amelia.
Oh, excellent.
So I want you to start. We're just going to do a body weight with your palm facing you at shoulder height and your elbows like in front of your body.
I'm actually doing this, Cam. I'm sitting
Me
here like with
too.
my
Me too. And as you press up, you're going to rotate your palm so it's facing away. So at the top, when your arm is by your ear, your
Okay.
palm should be facing away from your body. And as
Got
you
it.
return your arm back, you're rotating. So your palm's going to be facing your shoulder at the bottom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, even just sitting here in this chair doing it, I feel like I'm working.
Absolutely. And I've done a million of them on Instagram. So you can always check that out. I wish
Perfect.
Instagram was more searchable, but it's not. But it's just a rotation as you press. And so you get those nice shoulders for your sundress.
I love that. And
Yeah.
so tell us, I understand the rows and I obviously understand pull-ups. Tell me a little bit about the lay pull downs. Tell me about that.
That should be lat. That's a typo.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
Okay, so your lats are all the muscles like under your armpit, if you will. So like it's down like your bra strap area. So it's the muscles down under your armpit, and so when you're doing pull-ups, you want to make sure you're activating like that part of your body, or when you're doing lat pull downs. So a lat pull down would be like a band hanging from somewhere high.
Okay.
And with arms, with both grab both sides of the band, and you're going to pull that down, and you're using all those muscles down the side of your trunk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like, Cam, if I'm correct, I love seeing the lats on the swimmer boys at the Olympics. They're very large.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mine have calmed down, but during my pull-up crazes of my 40s, they were my bra size, the band is basically your lat, was bigger than the boob size. So I had a problem for a minute.
Wow.
I was negative. I was like, what is happening? Anyway, that's another story.
That's a great story. So let's talk a little bit about, we know the muscles, we know how upper body strength will help us. You've given us some ideas for the exercises. How would we get started with this?
Yeah. So the best way is just to jump in. And I actually found this quote. I thought this was a beautiful quote. This is Alex Ramosi. I don't know if you know him on Instagram, but anyway, he has a very specific style of video, and I don't know. Here's his quote. If you want enduring change, the best time to start is when you're busy. Learn how to make it work in the worst condition, and it'll stick in the best. And I'm like, that is a beautiful statement. So here we are, summer, things are getting busy. If you have kids still, you know how the end of the school year is. It's busy. So my advice to you is just start.
Yeah. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because we're all about making a quote excuse because I'm too busy. And especially if it's something that you're unfamiliar with, or if you haven't done it before, it feels overwhelming. But I do love that, because many times, Cam, on the podcast, we've talked about taking ownership and responsibility and being empowered. And that's kind of what this is. We're feeling ownership for our own health and our posture and all those good things, and just to jump in and start.
Yeah. And if you're a beginner, you're going to have way more gains than the people that have been in the fitness game forever. And so you're going to feel a difference quickly. And then you're going to start seeing the difference. You're going to feel it internally first. And then you're going to notice it physically within a month. And then other people are going to start noticing it. And so if you're a beginner, be encouraged that it doesn't take a lot, like twice a week. Let's do this twice a week. And you're going to feel better. And then you're going to notice the physical changes. And then you'll be like, yeah, I got to do this for myself.
Yeah. And I love that you said 2 times a week, which isn't obviously terribly frequent. And then the time it takes is not tremendous. We're not talking about being in the gym for a couple of hours. It's just, half an hour or less, including your warm up.
Absolutely. And so for warming up, I love grabbing a broomstick. In my gym, I actually have PVC sticks I bought from the hardware store that are about, 5 feet long, but you can use a broomstick. And I want you to grab it with a wide grip. So your arms are way away from your body, and you're going to start with the stick in front of your body, and you're going to go over your back and touch the back of your body, and then over and touch your front. And that's a really great way to check in with your shoulders. How do they feel? Like, what is your range of motion? And it's just a great way to start warming up your shoulders before you start strength training.
That's a really good tip. I love that. And that's using a tool that's either uber cheap or that you've got in your pantry.
Absolutely. And I know men that bought PVC sticks and put them at this is when everyone was working at an office, and they would put a PVC stick in their office.
Oh, yeah.
Guys in general have really bad shoulder mobility. And so we would work on
Oh.
that a lot, and they would, between meetings, to do their pass throughs and get their shoulders warmed up and more flexible. Anyway.
That is super cool. So what's the next step after the broomstick?
Yeah, I want you to use lighter weights and really work on your form. And if you need any help, just reach out on Instagram. I'm there to help you. I love doing this. Use lighter weights. Really concentrate on your form. I like going slow. This is not CrossFit or Orange Theory or any other crazy workout. It's about your mind and your body connecting and feeling your body move and be strong. So it's more mindful, if you will, then how fast can you go? How many can you do? Yeah. And I really like 4 rounds is a great place to start, and like 8 to 12 reps. That's it. That's all we're saying. Pushes and pulls. And then you're good.
I love that. And so just while you mentioned pushes and pulls and 4 rounds of 8 to 12. So if we go back up and just speak just about like a push up.
Yep.
So if we haven't been working out, it's okay to do like push ups on our knees. We don't have to do the full like on the toe thing. Is that correct?
That is correct. But my favorite way to modify a push up is to use an elevated surface.
Oh.
And so I thought I had this in the notes. I guess I didn't put it in here. You can start using the wall. So you're at an angle using the wall, or a countertop is a great height if you're just beginning. Or I use a coffee table in my family room often. Or if you need something lower, like a bench or a sturdy chair. In my gym, I have a jump box that has 3 heights depending on how I turn it. And I use that all the time, depending on how my shoulders feel. Sometimes I'm on the 30 or the 24 or the 20. So I can lower it as I feel stronger. It just depends.
That is a fantastic tip, because I've seen people do that. And, sometimes if we've been cardio junkies our whole life and we do think in terms of more is better, you feel like, oh, I'm cheating, but it's really not cheating. This is a great way to preserve, to gain the strength and not be really sore or hurt yourself. You need to start with something that's actually doable.
Absolutely. And also planks are just, push-ups are moving planks. That's all it is. And anytime you're doing any kind of plank, you're building your core strength, and then you're moving it because you're actually using your arms. So I love moving my plank, however I can move it.
Yeah. I think you have a video I've seen. It has something to do with like a bear crawl where you it's shoulder taps. It's shoulder taps I've seen you do. And I've done those as well. Yep. And that's tougher than it looks, honestly.
Right. And then there's also a plank drag. So you're in a plank position and a weight is outside of your plank, and with the opposite arm. So if the weight was on my right, I would grab my left arm and drag it under my plank and then switch arms. So that's called a plank drag. And those are awesome and awful at the same time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So that's also your shoulders and your core. So, I would consider that upper body. So
absolutely. That's just, that's almost like total body, honestly.
Right. Exactly. And if you're really like being mindful about your plank, then you're engaging your quads and your glutes and everything. Your whole body's involved if you are mindful about it. Yeah,
absolutely. So once we've got our form dialed in, what's the next step after that?
Yeah. So this is where you're going to actually build muscle. Once your form is good, use the heaviest weight you can with the best form you can. That's always important. And the last few reps should be challenging. And that means that, okay, I've got this, but like the last 2 are really hard, but I still did it and I still had good form, but it was really hard. That's where that's how we want to feel. And let me tell you something about midlife, about menopause in specific. Every day is different. And so one day you might use a 20-pound weight and it's like, I got this. And then you might pick up the 20-pound weight another day and you're like, this feels like 1,000,000 pounds. So I just want you to really check in with your body and like move your body with intention. It's not about the number so much. It's about challenging your muscles that particular day. That's the key.
That is such a great thing. So when we talk about doing 4 rounds, Cam, do we rest any between the rounds?
Oh yeah. Rest whenever you want.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had a prescriptive, like take 2 minutes rest between whatever.
Well, I mean, if you need a rule for yourself, you can put that rule on yourself. But I really enjoy the breaks because I catch my breath, and then I also notice my form is better. And then and then I'm able to lift a heavier weight. So it's like I win if I just take a little bit of a rest,
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 4 rounds of 8 to 12 reps. We start out with a warm up. We can use a broomstick. We start with lighter weights. We move to heavier weights. Tell us, since we're talking about weights, what sort of equipment might be helpful to have to do this at home?
Yeah. So body weight, obviously, like push-ups. So that would be body weight. Bands are excellent. There's so many things you can do with bands. You can do like pull aparts. You can do lat pull downs, not leg pull downs. Sorry about that. Bicep curls.
Cam, my old eyes may have read that wrong. No. It very well may have been my eyeballs.
No, it was my typing. I don't. I hunt and peck, and when I type, that's a true sentence. I don't know how to type. Everybody, it's all hunt and peck. Anyway, and my brain works faster than my fingers, so that's what happened. Yeah, and then dumbbells. Obviously, dumbbells are great. So this is very helpful as you get stronger, and you will get stronger quickly. I promise you that. As you get stronger and like you don't have the weight you need, like you could use more weight, but you don't have it in your gym or at home or whatever, just move slower. Like keeping your muscles turned on longer will certainly help stimulate the muscle growth. So that's the easiest way to do that.
And when you say move slower, let's just take the example of a bicep curl.
Yep.
So we're talking about moving slower, not only pulling the weight up towards your shoulder, but also slowly back down towards your hip. Is that correct?
So on a bicep curl, I would go up fast. So
you do? Okay.
I would create some power and then the resist gravity. So the slow part is anything against gravity. So I would go slow back down. Yeah.
Okay. I'm so glad I asked that question.
Yeah. Really good question. Thank you.
And when you say bands, what I have at my house, I have bands that are literally circles, like something I can put on my ankles or around above my knees. And like what I do is I squat, and then I move parallel and front and back with the band above my knees. But I also, when we talked about like the lat pull downs, I have another band that's just, it's not a circle. It has like handles. So do you think that both of those things are helpful, both the ones that are circles and the ones that have, they're just the lengths of tubing, if you will?
Yeah, we have both of those too. And I love the circle one. Let me show you a new way to use your circle one. Put it on your arms above your elbows and then do push-ups. It's so good.
Oh, wow. Now, Cam, the Arnold press that we just practiced a few minutes ago, would you put a band around your elbows to do that? Or does that just with your body?
So you could use the one with the handle. You'd have to figure out how you're going to anchor it, maybe under your foot.
Gotcha.
You should be able to hold the handle and do an Arnold press with a band. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. And do you have, for dumbbell sizes, if someone has not done any upper body weights before, would you suggest starting with like as small as like a 1 pound or 5, or I mean, is there a recommendation there?
Yeah, I can't recommend that because we're all different. We're at different stages. And I just, you have to maybe go to the Target and pick up the weights in the aisle and say, oh, this is good for me or this is not good for me or whatever. Yeah. So I can't really say that. The weight I would use would be different than the weight you would use, would be different than the weight somebody else would use. So it really depends on your body and where you are on your journey. So I can't really say that. But you can always practice with just your body weight, like we just did with the Arnold press, and like, okay, I get the movement. Now, what weight could I do that safely? So
that's a really good point. And you know what? The good news is that at Target or even Walmart, these things aren't terribly expensive. Dick's Sporting Goods. And even if you start with, a couple of pounds, you're not wasting money. There's always a way to use those. So I love that. And I'll just say this from a personal standpoint. I know I have 5s, 8s, and 10s. And I think I might have a set of 15s as well. But one of my favorites is body weight exercises. I love body weight exercises in the bands only because it does feel challenging. And it's amazing to me that every time I use those simple pieces of equipment that I'm challenged. And the cool thing about the bands is they're portable. So I literally got back last night from a business trip and I had the bands in my suitcase. So I could do that right in my hotel room, which made it awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I agree. And they're affordable as well.
Absolutely.
Do you have Play It Again Sports where you live?
We do. I don't know if we have it in my town, but I definitely have it within driving distance.
Yeah. So when I was the manager of the CrossFit gym, we would buy a lot of our kettlebells from that
Mm,
place. And before COVID, about $1 a pound was the standard rate for weight, just so you know. During COVID, people were getting their dumbbells and their kettlebells stolen off the trucks and all kinds of
wow.
like the delivery trucks. So it was really crazy and there was a shortage. So I don't know what the prices are now in 2023, but pre-COVID, it was about $1 a pound. So just if you're out there shopping, kind of a gauge.
So another couple of questions. One is around like we talked about the frequency, how many times a week and the duration. Would you advise if you're doing say 20 to 30 minutes twice a week, do we need to cover all of our upper body muscle groups during one session or do we split that between two sessions?
So I would just think about pushing and pulling.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I don't do body parts. I think of our whole functioning body. I think of that health wise too. So it kind
Yeah.
of fits in. And so I'm doing two things for my upper body, pushing and pulling. And I'm doing two things for my lower body, pushing and pulling. And then I might add a hinge because that would be like a deadlift where you're hinging and your hips go back. So yeah, those are the movement patterns. And then that's how I develop my workouts. So I want to make sure I'm including the entire body. And all of those things, by the way, work better, your arms and your legs, when your core is nice and organized. So your core is working all the time. And I knew that intimately when I had my hysterectomy. I had the kind where I had little holes across the top of my abs. And once I tried to return to the gym, like rowing on the rower or doing a deadlift, like things I didn't realize how were core related, were definitely core related. I could feel it all. So yeah, your core's everything.
Very good. So, and one last question. So,
Mhm.
do we expect to feel any muscle soreness the day after we do these exercises?
Yeah, I was talking about this morning. So I want you to feel like, oh, I feel my muscles. Oh, I have better posture, but I don't want you on the couch. And I don't want you having to use the handicap thing when you go to the bathroom. Like that's not, or brush your hair. I remember there was one workout back in CrossFit and no one could wash their hair. We were all complaining. I'm like, that's not a good sign when you can't even wash your hair. So that's not what we want. We're staying way far away from that.
Very good. I'm just super excited. You've got me motivated. Not
Oh,
that I
good.
wasn't doing upper body before, but it is definitely swimsuit and sundress season. And I love a nice set of shoulders in a sundress. So I hope all of our listeners feel the same. Is there any lasting comments or advice you want to leave us with?
I really just encourage you to get started. And I would love to hear from you on Instagram if you need help, because this is my thing. I would love to help you have your summer shoulders.
Absolutely. Summer shoulders it is. Thanks for listening today. You can find us on Instagram at midlife.mamas.
For all of our other contact info, check out the show description below, and we will talk to you next week.